Hey everyone, John Newman here. Thank you for downloading this episode of Card Mensches. Myself and Danny Black of Hobby News Daily would like to remind you this is a live show every other Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It can be found on most of our social medias. Danny's at sportsbalt and Hobby News Daily. I am Sports Card Nation Podcast. And it can be found on our YouTube channels. At Hobby News Daily, Sports Card Nation Podcast, at Sportsbalt, and at Card Mensches. So with that being said, we hope to see you very soon on a Friday night in our very active chat room. Now let's start the show.
We'd like to thank our newest sponsor, Stadium Insurance, stadiuminsurance.com. For all your sports collectible and memorabilia needs, remember stadiuminsurance.com. Please get their app on the iOS or Android stores. Download it now for full coverage. Hi, I'm Danny Black.
And I'm John Newman.
Welcome to Card Mensches. Well, hello. It's Card Mensches Friday, John. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing all right. I'm walking upright still, so that's half the battle. Episode 29. You forgot episode
29. I was going to introduce it. I was saying hello to you first. I wasn't raised on a farm. Episode 29 of Card Mensches. This is John Newman who wants to make it clear it's episode 29. It's very important. How are you doing, John?
All right, man. I feel like I'm battling an ear infection, as you know. We talked, but I'm not going to bore people with that. But I'm on some meds thanks to my wife, and so hopefully, hopefully I'll regain hearing in my left ear someday again.
We got Steven here, so if something goes wrong during the show, we got him. Hello to everybody.
We could do a Zoom ad.
Right, exactly. But he'll send you the bill. You got to be careful. Hello to everybody. I also want a special shout out to Warren, who has started his own YouTube show. So, Warren, way to take the leap, and good luck with that. Definitely, keep us posted, and we'll check it out.
No doubt.
Yeah, no, love seeing people take the leap. Papa Jim, hello. Ruben, hello. I hope I got everybody at the beginning there. Got a lot of people.
Orlando, did you catch Orlando?
I think I got Orlando. If not, a double hello to Orlando. And there we go. Yeah, definitely.
There's
congrats,
Mike
Warren.
Petty.
Papa Mike Petty is here. And Warren says he's got a new video coming out tomorrow. So there you go, Warren. Free advertising for you.
Best kind.
And Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I'm drinking coffee today because real quick, funny story. I'm not going to make this the whole episode, obviously. So with this ear infection I got, I'm taking Tylenol during the day just for the pain. I didn't miss any work, but I noticed I was getting home from school and just really tired and taking naps. And my wife today said, send me a picture of the bottle of the Tylenol you're taking during your lunch at school. So I snap a picture of the bottle. She goes, you're taking Tylenol, you're taking Excedrin PM. That's why you're falling asleep like so early. I had no idea. So in here, there's coffee. So I hopefully won't fall asleep on today's episode.
Ruben says that my Coke would be a lot cooler if it had some Captain Morgan in it. Can't dispute that at all. I love my big fan of Captain.
I won't argue with that. Or Jack or Crown.
You're not picky. You're friends with everybody.
I try to get along with everybody.
That's very generous of you. Very magnanimous.
I'm not saying I do. I just said I try.
Right. What we did want to talk about tonight, though, if I can steer back towards the show for a second, just for a second. What would we do if we ran the hobby in 2024? If we got the magic wand?
That's my magic wand. You're stealing my magic wand.
Oh, you can have the magic wand back. So imagine it's like like a magician, and you can do whatever you want. That's what we're going for. What?
Yeah. Well, listen, I did kind of a show on Hobby Quick Hits. I don't know when, where I kind of did this. So I'm going to probably repeat some of that because I'm pretty steadfast in my beliefs, and I'm probably, when I talk about this, Danny, I'm probably going to come at it from more of, if I own Fanatics, how I would produce cards. That'll sort of be my angle tonight, I think. I don't know about you, but that will be my approach.
Well, then that'll be good. It'll be good contrast because I'm taking over the whole hobby.
Okay.
So,
well, listen, Fanatics, it's in a couple years here is going to be 75% or pretty close, 75%.
Don't worry, you're on my list.
All right. I'm going to channel my inner Michael Rubin. Speaking of list, a list came out this week that I'm happy to say neither one of us appear on.
Cheers to that. So speaking of Michael Rubin, are you going to be invited to his white party next year if you're the head of Fanatics?
If he listens to my show, no. If he doesn't, I have an outside chance.
I just want,
Listen, I don't know. All joking aside, I don't hate Michael Rubin. This is a super intelligent guy, super rich guy. I don't agree with everything he does in his tactics, but he's got more money than me, and he's probably smarter than me. So that is what it is, I guess.
Okay. Mike Petty says 1976 was the best year in the history of Mensches. You guys should both have your own Bowman Chromium cards with red lava.
Yeah, but I'll only agree to that if our 101s, there's 3 of them made.
You need at least 3 101s. That's what's in these days. It's cool with all the kids.
All the cool kids dig it.
Right, exactly.
Why have one card when you could have 3 101s?
I wonder if that's not hinting towards something on your list, maybe.
I think it is. Quantity over quality.
Okay.
You want me to start?
Print them all, yeah. Go for it. Go for number 1.
All right. What if, I'm going to come at it as if I'm Fanatics. They own Cops now. All the licensing has already fallen into place. One thing I want to see is more transparency, Danny. So one thing I would do, this will never happen. This is a pipe dream of pipe dreams. But if I could do it and I had the power to do it, I would make my print runs public, and I would try to number as many cards as I can, including the stuff that's not low printed. So in other words, is if there's 750,000 of a base card, let's number those. Okay. As crazy as that sounds, people like numbered cards anyway. So I'm giving them what they want. Obviously, you rather pull a 1 of 1 than a 1 of 750,000. Because if you got the 1 of 1, there's only 3 of those that exist. And if you pull the 1 of 750,000, that 1.5 million exists.
Ruben has some ideas. If I were in charge, I'd reduce the number of products, make them more affordable to the younger, newer collectors, ban sticker autos on card only, kids under 12 free to baseball games. Well, I'm not sure we're in charge of Major League Baseball, but yes, it's a good idea.
Well, Ruben's working on that.
Appreciate working on that. But John,
Michael Rubin, but maybe with the help of Ruben Schneider too, combined forces, they can get that done.
So my number 1, I think, is a little different, but you took the Fanatics view. I'm taking the bigger view, but my number 1 on my list is to settle all the business between Fanatics and Panini, all the lawsuits, like The Godfather. I want to take care of all family business and move forward.
You come in here, we're going to meet and get this finally fixed.
This is what I'm saying. You got it exactly right.
You come to me on this day when I'm having Giannis sign all his redemption autos.
Leave the Wagner, take the cannolis. So I would just I would be in charge. I would make a ruling. Whatever the case is, bring it before me. Let's go. By dinner time, we're home and we're settled. And that's it. And then we can move on with our hobby. So that's my number one. We settle all the legal business. I don't want this to be night court anymore.
Who knew Cardmensches was a fantasy sci-fi show?
The second they said John and Danny should be on for an hour.
Yeah, that's well, and all again. These are like all hypotheticals. Very few chances that all of this happens. Maybe some of it does. Nothing we said so far. Right now we're batting zero, and probably will continue to bet zero. But you want me to go again?
Yeah, I just want to say I do know that's a pipe dream, Warren, but this is my fantasy world, and so it's driving me nuts, and that's why I put it. Yeah, John, go ahead. Number 2 on your list.
Again, you got to remember, I'm going to kind of come from Fanatics controls the hobby, 75% of it. So what I would like to see them do, being that they hold that much of the power, I talked about transparency and print runs, numbering all the cards. I also like to see, and they sort of do this now, but I think they can do a better job with this. I want to see product made for all levels of the hobby. So sure, you're going to have, your expensive products, whether that's Transcendent or Diamond Collection. I know they did away with opening day. They changed Big League. It was kind of a better product this year. But I'd like to see even more tiers of pricing levels and them have a say, once you give it to a store, right? The store can then charge pretty much anything they want, but make these products and have them stay at a certain level. So a young lady or a young man who's in the hobby and doesn't have the same discretionary income of me or you and others listening can still enjoy the hobby, can still enjoy the rush of opening packs and packs. And when I say like a lower tier product, that doesn't mean you can't be good stuff in it that they can pull. Put a Trout autos in there or whoever, put chase cards in there. So there's still a chance of getting something of significance. Like I understand there can't be as much as in a $1,000 a box product. But still, don't water it down where there's no interest in it, right? Give something to the kids that are in the hobby. They're the future. We're not going to be here forever, and we need that next group coming up to take the baton. And the earlier you get someone involved in the hobby, I got started as a 7-year-old kid, and here I am 44 years later, right? I probably wouldn't be in the hobby if I didn't start at 7. Now, I know it's a different hobby today. We have people come in the hobby now that don't have those stories, right? I didn't collect as a kid, but COVID hit. I heard all about how the hobby was booming, and I bought a couple boxes. Those people exist. They're real. But I think a good percentage of people started in their youth at some form or fashion. And so I don't think that should be lost, even in today's modern day hobby. So create a product that's not watered down too severely, but is also still affordable for kids to rip, get kind of, hooked on the hobby, enjoy it, passionate. And then they stay in it. And then when they, start working and get their careers and have more discretion, they can move up sort of those tiers if they so choose.
John using the model of selling crack for baseball cards.
It's similar, but I just left off the crack part.
Mookie says John is less Michael Rubin, more Reuben sandwich.
I like Reuben sandwiches.
Mike Petty says that he's more Paul Rubens.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Underrated comic, Paul Rubens.
Ruben says, Danny, are your kids interested in the hobby? Do you ask them a question about what they like and what they dislike?
That's a great comment.
That's a great question. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I have twin boys. They're going to be 13 in a couple weeks. And one of my boys is very much a Pokemon collector, and he's gone to card shows with me since he could walk. The other one has virtually no interest in the hobby and is a sports fan, but no interest in the hobby. And my daughter has no idea what I do for a living or why I'm in my office. So that answers that. But to get to your point and to get to what we were talking about, I also had on my list, and I might as well just piggyback on it now. The prices of wax, they just need to come down. Absolutely no reason. I don't care about the secondary market. That will take care of itself. If people want to pay for a card, they'll pay for a card on the secondary market. We don't need to support breakers that or local card shops. They will be back with there will be plenty of buyers at a lower price. They're not going to lose business.
There'll probably be more buyers. Listen, the lower something is, economics 101 here, folks, right? The lower the price something is, the more people are going to purchase it. I mean,
and if you lower the wholesale cost, the margin can be the same. Mike, I know it breaks my heart, but he's a good kid. He gets A's in school.
Yeah. So no doubt. And listen, I'm not saying we make all kids products and nothing for the big boys who have big bucks that want to partake in it. I'm saying create levels for everybody, right? That can, and that way, if you start at the bottom level as a young man or woman or kid, and then when you're older and you've got your career and your job, and then you want to kind of, if you've never left, you just can buy bigger and better stuff, and that's what I mean. And when I entered the hobby in 1979, Danny, there was no Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering at that time. So it was easy, man. I was a sports kid. I was playing sports at 5 years old, right? You have kids today have a lot more pulling them away from card collecting. And so you've got to gear stuff. You've got to be in their face. And not only in their face, but there has to be something they can afford to buy. Because if it can't, they're going to ignore it and buy a video game, buy a Yu-Gi-Oh pack or Pokemon. And that's a hobby too, and that's trading cards. But as a kid who started at 7 years old with a 1979 Topps baseball pack, I'm being sentimental here, but I love stories. I love seeing kids at shows enjoying the hobby. There never can be too many. That will never be a problem. There can be not enough. That could be a problem. So do stuff geared to get that next generation locked in and on the ride. And I don't want to make it sound like they're captive, but enjoying the hobby, building a passion for it. Because that's going to be the next one. Can you be in the hobby and not partake in it as a kid? You can, but I think you're more apt to be I heard the word true collector, right? I don't know what that really means, the true, but I think if you start at a young age, right, that definitely checks that box.
I think that I disagree with part of what you said, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I think you have to have price tiers for kids and it should be available. However, I think they need to cut down on the amount of sets dramatically. I think it's too confusing. I think it hurts the market
They have though a little bit. They have discontinued.
But there's still how many sets are going to be put out this year by Topps?
I don't know. I should know that. And I don't. Yeah,
but it's when we grew up, you collect the set. It wasn't 28 different sets.
Aaron Gray, I like Ruben's comment, 1979, the Battlestar Galactica cards. I'm not. Listen, nothing wrong with Aaron Gray's 1979 version.
John King says cut down on sets in general. No one collects the sets. The new ones. That's true. I don't know how many people still buy the.
It does feel like set collecting is more vintage.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I used to collect sets. Now I don't. So, some of that's just based on the size of where I can house my cards. So I just don't have the room to chase sets like I did as a younger collector. I don't hate sets. I just sort of adapted to the room, I have.
Hodgson says fewer sets and fewer parallels would be a nice start. I think for kids and even adults, unless you really memorize all this, it's a lot of product out there.
Yeah, no doubt. But that's going to be a tough one, because why do they make the products, right? Because they paid a lot of money for the licensing to produce them. So, and part of that contract lingo and language is how many sets they're allowed to produce. And so they're going to max that out. And we might not like it, but there's a method to that madness and a reason why.
Yes. Love this comment. If I had a magic wand, I'd bring back Morgana the Kissing Bandit for the kids.
Now, here's a question. Is she still alive?
Oh, I don't know. That you just made that sad now.
I want to. Well, I'm not going to Google right now, but somebody looked that up, and she's got to be what, in her 80s, 90s, maybe potentially.
I feel like we looked her up before. Now it's getting creepy.
Now I have this vision in my mind. She used to run out there with things bouncing up and down onto the field, right? Now I could see her with a walker rolling out there, and obviously the players could easily elude her nowadays. And I don't think they were trying too hard to elude her back when she was in her 30s and 40s. But now they could definitely outrun her with her walker. I'm assuming and I hope she's still alive,
Mike, I don't know if she's really 76, but he says that she's 76 and has Orlando says Morgana was huge back in the day.
Innuendos 101.
He says Morgana's alive, Pee-wee is dead. Yes. We're just trying to find out details on Morgana. What's she up to? What's she doing? Does she watch Cardmensches? These are things I want to know.
You know what? If there's a sport she can still run onto the playing surface and get the athletes, it's probably the bowling alley. The Professional Bowlers Association, the PBA.
She just stands up.
Because they can't run onto the alley and lane itself. So they only have where you sit in that little area that she's got them kind of cornered.
Yeah, I hadn't put that much thought into it.
Well, I think on the fly. I haven't thought about it until just now. But
okay. Mookie says a nice pickleball court for Morgana. Yes.
She might catch me there.
Yes.
Although even at 51, I think I can outrun her. I think I don't know if she's a spry 76 or not spry.
The question
is, am I going to try to outrun her?
Right. Exactly.
That's to be or not to be, to run or not to run.
Yeah. All right. Whose turn is it?
I think it's mine.
It's your turn. Yeah.
Well, listen, this is a selfish one, right? I like, we went from Morgana and her assets to acetate, right? I'm a big fan of acetate cards. So great segue. You got to use it when you get it. As you know, and a lot of people listen to my content, I like a nice looking acetate card. So I would bring back a completely larger. I know Topps did the clearly
a larger acetate.
A larger acetate set where every card is acetate. And that would be just purely selfish, self-serving. But you said, hey, if I ran the hobby, so I answered that question literally. If I ran the hobby, you'd have a 792 card acetate set. I don't know if you'll make money on it because the production cost would probably be high enough, but I don't care. I would still like the cards.
Yes. The chat room did not let me down. Ruben says John is an acetate man, not a busty boy. Mookie, haha.
That will be on the back of my Ginter card I'll never get.
Right, exactly. Hodges wanted to know, are you really outrunning anyone on Tylenol PM?
Not on Tylenol PM. It'll be like the Gary from SpongeBob. Like, right now.
I'm not sure that's just coffee, folks. I'm not in the room with John.
This is coffee. Yeah.
Not
that I really needed it.
Here's something that drives me nuts. Can we get a release schedule and stick
Well, we
to it?
have them. It did just
No.
you want it. You want it where they actually follow it. We
I
have a
want
release
it
schedule.
where the cards come out on the same day that they put on the calendar at the beginning.
That's a big ask.
It's not as a big acetate, but it's a big ask.
It's a big ask.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Like,
ridiculous.
I think we have to give the COVID, the COVID asterisk, but I think we're past that point to keep using that as an excuse. So yeah, I don't argue that one.
And not only that,
I think that's fair.
They make the release schedule, so push it back. If you're not going to have it, make whatever date you want. Just hit your date.
Yeah.
I
don't hit your date literally. That's
we don't condone that.
We don't endorse that.
But
open the door for your date.
Yes.
Don't hit your date. All right.
Thank you. Public service announcement.
The more you know, NBC.
But I'm serious. I'm so tired of thinking that baseball's coming out in baseball season, football's coming out in football season, and no, you're really going to get football 2 years later. You're going to get everything in the wrong season. Stuff's going to drop without anybody telling you. It's going to come on the wrong day. I think it's very unprofessional.
Well, sometimes the hobby's never been accused of always being professional.
Yeah, that was probably a nicer word than I wanted to use. The only thing that comes out on time is hockey. I wonder why that is. Upper deck.
Even that, Ruben, has its moments too.
Yeah, but his point, I think, is well made.
No one is safe. That's what he really is saying.
Yeah,
no one is safe.
So that's my thing. I don't know if it bugs you, but the release schedule.
I don't think it bugs me as much as it bugs you. Probably because I just don't open that much Modern anymore, quite frankly, Danny. I guess if I did and I was anticipating a release on the scale I used to be back in the day, it would probably bother me when I'm thinking something's coming on the 6th and the 6th shows up and the product doesn't. I get it.
Well, even if I'm prospecting and I'm a top 100 list is going to come out or something's going to happen, coming out before or after that list could make a difference. So
no, I agree. I don't know if we'll ever be back there again. There's just so many products and so many potential things that go wrong that can cause a production delay, a printing mishap.
Are you making excuses?
A lot of these, I am making excuses for them. Some of these are actually true. Some of them are just pure excuses, right? But, some of these printing factories, these cardmensches, like they're all the card companies use them. It's like the same place, and so they're there's only so many employees to hit these deadlines, and that's where some of these production delays off the line come from, and that sort of thing. So I think it's wishful thinking. I think they could definitely do better. I'll never be 100% accurate, but they definitely can hit better percentages than they are hitting at the moment.
Hodges giving dating advice, reminding you to be nice to your dates. They are high in fiber and antioxidants.
I don't believe I've ever. I got to be careful.
No, right on.
So, I don't believe I've ever ingested. I almost said something else. A date, like the actual fruit date.
Yeah,
not on purpose or that I'm aware of.
No,
it might have been in a fruit cake that like someone gave me, and I pretended to eat, and there was a date in the fruit cake, and then when they looked away, I just went and put it in my pocket. So
yeah, I don't do this. It's just, I try
a nice panettone is great. We're talking about fruitcakes.
Yeah, there's no fruitcakes on Hanukkah.
Yeah, well, we should start the new trend.
Yeah,
trend setting.
All right, it's your turn, trendsetter.
This and so let me preface this next one by I know it's not going to happen and maybe never happen again, and that makes me sad. But if I ruled the hobby and I could do whatever I wanted to, I would grant Upper Deck, Panini, Topps, and maybe even Leaf licenses to all the sports. Let's get back to the way it was when you had multiple companies producing cards and competing against each other in real time to who was going to make the best product. I think competition, brings out the best in everybody. I think someone owning 75% of the licensing doesn't. I think that breeds complacency. So I understand when I say this, that this is a pipe dream of all pipe dreams, at least for probably in my lifetime. It'll never happen again. I hope I'm wrong. And I lived to 150 and I'm Yoda. Like multiple card companies producing sports, you see. Terrible Yoda impression, but I like to see that multiple companies producing different sports like it was at one point. And yes, there were some duds even then. I get it, but at least you had someone pushing you, and it gave the consumer, us, right, choices of what product we wanted to buy. Let me put it this way: I opened more 83 tops than 83 Donruss. I opened more 84 Donruss than I did 84 tops. Why? Strictly the designs, right? What I liked better that particular year. The rookies back then were pretty much, not exactly, but in the 84 Donruss and tops, there was a manly rookie in both of those, but I like the 84 Donruss design better. So I opened way more 84 Donruss. I like to see that again. But again, I think in reality, we know that's more of a pipe dream than it happened again.
Well, sadly, mine is probably as much of a pipe dream, and it shouldn't be. The universal registry. Can we finally have a universal registry? It's the technology's there. We all know why it's not happening. PSA doesn't want to do it. It's useful. It's fun. It's good for the hobby. It is everything the registry is supposed to be, but you can get an honest answer and actually know, between companies. So for me, there would be a universal registry. And as a vintage collector, that it drives me nuts that there's not right now.
Oh, I would love that. We're waving the same pennant. You might have my pipe dream that I just said before yours, you just said now, might be closer to reality than what you just said. And that's crazy to think about that, right? And when we talk about a set registry, a graded card registry, right? Where do you draw the line, though? Like, it's kind of like the BCS bowl games, right? Where they pick the top 4 teams, right? If you're team number 5, Florida State, yes, they got drubbed, but they made an argument. Hey, we went undefeated. We should have been. So how do we do that with grading registries? Like, does GMA get to be part of that registry? Does HGA? Is that like where do we draw the line, and who determines that?
I think once a card goes into some of those companies, it's no longer a card.
I don't disagree, but that's where the dilemma is going to happen about a national registry. If I'm GMA, like they're a goofy grading company. No offense to anybody that works there, but they're not viewed on the same lens as a PSA, SEC, CGC, or even Beckett, who's probably lost the biggest foothold in the grading card space, right? They're not viewed on that. Are we going to accept their submission? Are we going to accept their grading as part of that registry? And who makes that determination? So that's why I don't think you'll ever really see a true registry, right? And if we just say, okay, it's PSA, SEC, and CGC, let's just say that's what, what I mean? Who, yeah, but who makes that rule up and who decides? And then whoever doesn't get in, let's say, they're going to be like, hey, this registry is not accurate. It doesn't list what we've graded in there. So I would love to see one. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see one. But like you said, that would mean that these companies have to be more on the same page and sort of working with each other on some sort of level. And I don't ever see that happening.
Question here from Mookie: is a Beckett vintage graded slab equal to PSA or SGC in a universal registry? Grading standards are tough to make universal. Exactly what John just commented on. Exactly part of the problem.
Well, so here's my solution to that. If a pseudo solution, each company should have their own registry. So you can go and see. So if you want to see, I'll just take a card. You want to see 1980 Topps Rickey Henderson rookie. You can go to PSA. You can do that right now. That they have one, and say, hey, how many cards has PSA? How many Rickey Henderson Topps rookies has PSA graded? What's the percentage that graded this? Then if SGC had that, you could go there, Beckett. And if every grading company did their own registry, you could kind of get a synopsis of a card in this example. You know, you're never going to get them all working together. I think that's where the pipe dream comes in. But if every grading card company themselves can create their own registry, and then someone else like Ryan Szynski from GemRate could do maybe cull all that information together and make sort of a national registry. They're not going to do it on their own, but maybe
one of the challenges,
if they each did their own, you could get all that information together.
But it's not just even the information of the how many are graded. It's literally like the people who enter their cards into the registry sets and registry collectors. And if you sign up,
listen,
and that makes it a lot harder to cross over.
And these reports are not accurate either, even the ones that do have registries, right? Because people are cracking those and then resubmitting them, and they can't track that, at least not at this point, and not accurately. So, you know, it could say there's 1,000, you know, Mike Trout update rookies graded 8, but there could be 200 of those PSA 8 Trouts that people just cracked and either sent them to another grading company or resubmitted back to PSA, let's say, to try for a higher grade. And maybe they got an 8 again. And so now it's 1,001, but it's actually the same card twice.
Yep.
So a registry tells the story, but it's not the whole story. And the whole story will never be completely 100% accurate.
I could tell you the whole story, but then I'd have to kill you. Mike Petty says,
all right, I'll do it when I'm like 75, if I even make it that far. And I don't have much time left anyway.
We've got at least a couple minutes, don't worry. The registry is about as stupid as eye appeal and breaking, in my humble opinion.
I like eye appeal. I'm an eye appeal guy.
Are you a third party?
As someone who has some eye appeal cards, I like eye appeal. But I get the comment itself. The registry, it's nice. It's nice, Mike. It's not the end all be all, as you just pointed out. I agree on that front, you know, but it gives you something to work with, right? It kind of gives you a starting point, if you will. It's better than nothing. It's better. It's better having it than not having it at all. Is it completely accurate, as I just pointed out in with your comment? No, it's not. But at least it gives you a general idea of what's going on with a particular card or set.
The registry is important to set builders. That's a good point.
I mean, it's people use the registry for different reasons, right? No one, I don't want to say no one uses it for, you know, some people use it for, but it has different usages, right? How many complete graded sets exist? How many PSA 9s are out there? You know, I have the only one. It's a Pop 1, Gem Mint 10, right? We know there's only 3 PSA 10 1952 Topps Manels. We know that. You know, so it does have a meaning and a purpose. Again, it's not always going to be accurate, but in some cases, I think it is accurate. I think there is 3 PSA 10 Mickey Mantles graded. That's not to say there's not a PSA 10 shaped one sitting in a binder somewhere or a cigar box potentially. Not likely, but it's not impossible either. But we know that there's 3 enslabbed with that grade.
How come you never find cigars in a baseball box?
How do you know you don't?
Good point.
You assume that.
You know what happens when you assume. That's on me.
Acetate cards.
All right, I had universal registry. I think you covered it well for me. Thank you. Your turn.
Oh man, how do I follow that one up? You know, it's this one's the low hanging fruit, right? the redemption issue, right? No one likes the redemption cards. You wait 15 years, if you ever get it. You hear people complain that I agreed to a replacement instead of the original card. It didn't live up to the billing. It wasn't equal value. Fanatics has said they're really going to try to phase out redemption cards as much as they can. So I think this is something we're going to see a better job with. So the less redemption cards, the better. But as I've always said, even on Sports Card Nation, guys, sometimes to get an autograph of a guy or a player or an athlete or even a celebrity, you have to sometimes have it in redemption form. So I don't want to necessarily wipe them all out across the board, but I think most people will agree with me. Less is more, right? Or less is better. So less redemptions. But if the redemption card's the only way you can get Harrison Ford into a Star Wars product, or a Shohei autograph into another product, then it's kind of a necessary evil, if you will. But the less we see of them, I think the better, because no one loves redemption cards, right? No one ever says, yeah, I sent in my redemption and I got it back 10 days later, right? Very, very rare.
Well, because if they had the card,
the word redemption, the word redemption used to mean, like, it used to be a good word. Like someone redeemed themselves. It's a redemption story. But the hobbies kind of ruined the word redemption, right? And now it's got a negative connotation.
Except with Bob Marley.
Redemption.
Except with Bob Marley, the redemption song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
So, the less we see of redemptions, I think the better. But I don't also want to eliminate someone getting a great autograph by eliminating redemptions 100%. So eliminate them as much as possible without eliminating a person's autograph from being in a product.
Yes. Which kind of ties into my next one, which is, well, here, let me read Brian's comment first. Brian says they can do a better job with which sets have redemption. Sets that release later in seasons could have a longer lead times to get the cards made. Yeah, that's true.
That's a great point. Here's the other thing they could do. They'll never do this, but I thought about this. The reasons these redemptions are late, right, is because the design of them matches the set, right? What if we just said, listen, the Shohei autograph is not going to necessarily be the same design as that year's set. So they just make a Shohei card for him to sign 1,000 of them, and they can be put in any release, whatever they so choose, and however they want to break it up. And so the set design doesn't have to match I should say it this way: the autograph card design doesn't have to be an exact match to the set design. Now, I know some set purists will say that's blasphemy, John. I want my autograph card. I'm a master set builder. I want the autograph set to look just like the base cards, except obviously with the autograph added to it. But if you could get past that, where it's not an exact match, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, I think people just want the card.
That's my point. So you might get the autograph card sooner. It's just not going to look like, the Bowman Best design that you pulled.
You're saying have it signed before they make the set.
Before, and then they can determine what product they put the redemption cards in.
Interesting. That's actually not a bad idea. Mike Petty wants a redemption for a pepperoni pizza. Mike, I had a pepperoni pizza tonight, and I had a potato white pizza, which was out of this world. So I'd just like to rub that in. Warren says, now I'm hungry, but I'll bust my diet. I've got to be careful which ones I put here. Wasn't Fleer autograph?
Yeah, there's been, I think Fleer did something like that where the design wasn't the same as the set it came out of. I'm sure it's not the only time it's happened. But if collectors would agree, kind of say, okay, like kind of sign off on that, I would, but I can't speak for everybody, but I would. Listen, you're getting to play like a Shohei autograph is a Shohei autograph, regardless of the design, right? I'm not talking about the numbering of the card. A Shohei number to 10 or a Shohei number to 50 are going to have different values. But the design really doesn't change that dramatically the price level of a card. Unless it's an acetate card, then I'm going to like it more.
You're really pushing. Mail your acetates to John.
I like acetate. I like acetate, and I cannot lie.
All right. He will accept donations. All right, we're on the home stretch. I have one more. I don't know if you have any more, but I've got one left.
See, I'm thinking of on the fly, man. I'm not even. I didn't make a list. That's how old and long I've been doing this. I can just do this off the top of my head.
Well, are you trying to show off?
No, I don't know if that's showing off. I can't like useful stuff. I had to move useful stuff out to put this stuff in. So I don't know if that's really I don't know if that's really showing up.
True story. My mother asked me one time, why do I fill my head with so much sports? Can't I use that space for other stuff? Mother, it's not a limited amount of space, but I appreciate that.
You only have so much square footage in your brain, whether you believe that or not.
Right. Ruben says that Pizza will injure your Mr. Baltimore physique title for 2024.
Yeah, you're out.
I'm out before the pizza, Ruben. Don't worry about that. All right. My last thing here is that I wish that more people in the hobby would have a perspective of how much of the hobby is not on social media and not in content creation. I think we really get lost in this rabbit hole and news cycle of whatever's going on in social media, and it really gets blown way out of proportion sometimes, and it can make it almost unfun to follow hobby media. So my hope is that we understand that you can hobby off social media, that things on social media are a small portion of the hobby, and that we get a better perspective of where the hobby really is and how many cards and how many people collect that don't care at all about YouTube or Instagram.
It's a great point. Did you were you over my shoulder this afternoon? I've started to write my next article for Hobby News Daily, and it's going to be one of the focuses. It's going to be very, I don't want to say eye-opening. It's not that dramatic, but basically the articles are going to be focused on like stuff you don't need to be in the hobby and collect. And you made that point. Probably 80%, maybe even a higher number. I hate to say it, but it's true. Don't listen to podcasts. Don't watch YouTube videos. Don't follow hobby social media influencers, right? And that's nothing wrong with that. You don't need those things to be in the hobby. And that's not to say I don't appreciate everyone that listens to Sports Card Nation or this show, Card Mensches, or Hobby Hotline, or anything else I'm involved in. I appreciate those folks. I appreciate them all the more knowing that there's the 20% of the hobby that does, and yet there's 80% that don't. But to truly enjoy the hobby, all you need is a little bit of a budget and sort of what direction you want to go. You don't need me or Danny or anyone else telling you anything or or for that matter, right? You can make your own decisions. We appreciate people who do consume our content, but that's not a prerequisite. When I started, again, back in 1979, as we all know, this stuff didn't exist yet. I didn't need it to start my journey into the hobby. And even in 2024, you don't need social media to hobby. It's nice if you enjoy it, but it's not a prerequisite, right? And so it's a great point, right? And it's one. It's weird you brought that up because I literally started that article this afternoon. It's not done, but I started it this afternoon, and you can enjoy the hobby. And that's the other thing. You can be you can do it on your own. You can do it in a group. With friends or people you like, but you the only thing you need is what you want to collect and a budget, right? And you hear people say, "Oh, the hobby's too expensive now. I'm getting priced out." And I'm not going to argue that the hobby's not expensive. I'm not going to be disingenuous, but there's things you can still do on a budget and still be involved in the hobby. So it's a great point. And maybe that's kind of what I would say is my last thing is like, make your own decisions. Like it's nice if you value mine or Danny's or other people's opinion, but at the end of the day, right? Like I always say, you're the CEO of your hobby company, and you can make the final call or your own call on whatever you want to do. And that's the beauty of the hobby. And so you don't need all these extra things. Sometimes they're nice. Sometimes people enjoy them. But if you don't, that's okay too. And I think that's what you were kind of saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I had a point I wanted to make, and now I totally forgot it. It was brilliant.
Blew your mind.
Yeah, really, really did. Let me read a couple of the comments, catch up a little bit here. Warren says, just find your path your way. You don't need lots of cash to get cool stuff. That's very true. That's why my wife married me, because I don't have any cash to get her cool stuff. I use the YouTube channels to share my dad jokes, and someone might laugh. Nobody at home thinks I'm funny. Old card guys do. I agree with a lot of that. Mike Petty, yep, I agree. Do what you want. If you enjoy getting your teeth kicked in, go right ahead. Listen to guys like Flip Wilson.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? People like to give advice. I've done it too. But at the end of the day, right? I think sometimes, not everybody, I think there's a certain percentage of the hobby, probably small, which is a good thing, that do collect based on, I want to get likes when I post this, or so-and-so told me to buy this player or not buy this player. And I get it. I'm not saying listen to advice is a bad thing, but at the end of the day, let the final decision truly be yours. I've listened, Danny's influenced stuff that I've done, but because I agreed with it, not because I felt pressured to, right? And so that's, I guess, where I'm going with this. Like, it's okay to get another opinion or an outside opinion, but at the end of the day, do collect what you love and what you enjoy, not what someone else tells you that you should love and enjoy, because they're not going to be in your room or in your binder looking through it or looking at it when it's sitting on your desk, right? You have to, at the end of the day, enjoy it. And sometimes I think we put too much emphasis on value, right, everybody? And I'm guilty of it too. I'm not, hey, what's this worth? And it's nice to have something that's valuable. Anyone that tells you they don't care what their cards are worth, I don't think they're being 100% truthful. But don't let that be sort of the guiding factor 100% to why you acquire something or enjoy something. I have cards I like that, yes, are expensive. I have other cards I love that are $20 or less. So, at the end of the day, collect what you enjoy and love, not on what someone tells you and not just on a dollar sign. And I think you'll ultimately be the happiest when you do that.
I just posted in the chat any cards that anybody is looking to collect in 2024, since we're looking forward. And Warren mentioned the Mensches rookie card. That's an interesting sneaky buy.
It is because there's a chance at some point he might get into the Hall of Fame. You can make an argument he probably should be in. There's some other guys that are in that I would say Mensches was a better player than. I don't want to make this, we're winding down here. But, it's probably an undervalued card, an underrated card, and there's a lot of those, right? I think there's Stan Musial, Tony Gwynn's another guy that checks that box for me. Greg Maddux in the pitching categories, underrated, undervalued. Many more. We did that show already. Overrated, underrated. And even if you go back to pre-war, there's guys that you could do that with. And so, again, collect because you want to collect those players. And if the reason is because they're undervalued, or underrated, that's good enough reason for me. So I won't argue with you.
Bunch of people stuff they're collecting.
I just wanted to that I'm reading Dr. Mayer's Trubisky. No, I don't. I'm not saying I don't have any Trubisky cards. I don't collect Trubisky.
Ruben is looking for more Hall of Fame Diamond Kings and PS Autos a 57 Clemente. Hodges 56 Topps Jackie, great card. Bag collector. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I mean, and this I love seeing what people are hunting for this year, right? And that gives you, gives you goals to set. I'm not always a goal guy when it comes to like the hobby but I have a list, right? I went in the last Nationals we talked about trying to get a Seaver and Clemente rookie. Did not get those, so those remain on my want list this year. And if you look at my want list, it can be an expensive card and it could be, a cheap Peyton Manning rookie. So it's an eclectic sort of list, and that's the beauty of the hobby. It doesn't always have to be 4 figures, 3 figures, or even 2-figure cards all the time. It's up to you and your budget and what you enjoy.
And how much you're allowed to spend.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can have your own separate account if you're a married guy. You didn't hear that from me, though.
I was wondering how far you were going to go on that one. Replace my M116 Honas that was jammed in the PSA slab. I had to send it back in 2019. That's crazy.
Yikes.
I want to hear that story one day, Mike. All right.
I almost don't want to hear that story. It sounds like a horror movie.
It's crazy, really. They're getting rid of the baggies. They're switching to a new holder.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on grading too. If we go there. So that will be my last one. Real quick, I don't want card companies, and they're not really now, and I hope it remains that way. I don't want card companies getting in the grading space. I'm not talking about like SGC, works a deal with Topps, like, hey, 2022, 23 Bowman cards, all $9. But, Fanatics, when they first got the licensing for baseball and bought Topps, they talked about doing their own grading. I don't want to see that. It's a conflict of interest. I would never submit cards to a grader that grades their own cards. And I just hope it remains that way.
I agree with that. I agree with you there. All right. Well, we made it through 29.
Yeah, episode 29.
So we're first one in 2024. So this is now our 3rd calendar year.
Is it really? We started in 22?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So where does the time go? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So
it is. Like, I'm not even being funny. I didn't even realize that till you said it. Like things that make you go,
Dylan, you didn't miss anything. We're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube, and the audio comes out on Mondays. That's a great segue. Thank you, Dylan. Whether you're watching us live, as I always say, we really, really appreciate you because I'll say it. We have one of the best chat rooms in the history of chat rooms, not just hobby, just chat rooms in general. I'll say it. I don't care. People are probably like, you're nuts. I am, but I still said it. And, and if you download the show on Monday, we appreciate you as well. You don't have to do that, and yet you do. So I love the chat room, and I still love the folks that just listen. I get it. You don't want to see our faces. I understand why. You just want the audio. I get that. Especially over. The more pizza Danny eats. I eat pizza too. So
Mookie said we should just start over for
all right, take it from the top. Welcome to episode 29.
Did I hit record?
No one in chat leave. We're doing this again.
Right. All right. 2 weeks from now, we will be doing it again. Episode 30. And this time I'm going to try something different during the week. I want to try to solicit ideas from people, see what they want us to talk about.
Yeah, so. I don't want to say. I was going to say we joke about the chat room. We don't joke about we have a great chat room. There's nothing funny about that. That's not tongue in cheek. But guys, it don't even have to be live in the chat room. But send us a DM or an email or something. That's a show you or a topic you want us to cover. The more we do these shows, let's be real, like we just talked about, our brains are only so large or so small. So we can only think of so much. So if you have a topic, hobby wise that we haven't covered that you want to see us tackle, our doors are more than open. I've always been like that since my first content piece in 2018. I've done shows and credited someone who said I've given credit to so and so. Hey, this is so and so mentioned this to me, so this show exists because of them. And same, and I'll let you add on to that, Danny. By all means, if you have a topic idea or something you want us to cover, yeah, give it to us. We'll probably do it if it's good enough and interesting, and most likely will be. And maybe even have you come on and we'll all tackle it at the same time.
Absolutely. I need to play something and then we're going to get out of here. How's that sound?
All right. I can only hear you out of one ear, but it sounded okay.
We are proud to partner with SGC Grading. Check them out at www.gosgc.com.
All right, my friend. It was always a pleasure. To the chat room, echo everything John said. Appreciate it as always. Good group as always. Glad to get to know everybody a little bit more every week. And, like we said, Warren started a channel, Orlando. So definitely check out everybody's shows, support each other.
Yeah. Very great point.
All right. On that note, say goodbye, John.
Goodbye, John.